Alrighty, so today we're taking a look at something that's completely unique and one of a kind. We're looking at the world's first versatile VND ND filter. Let's get started.
What's good, guys? Producer Paul here, and you're watching OriginaldoBo, and today we're going to take a closer look on what exactly is included with this new Freewell ND kit. First, you get this hard case that is pretty nice, nicely padded, and it has three different pieces. You're going to have the base plate, the glass, and then your filters, which has two various ND filters, one 2 to 5 and 6 to 9, and if you flip those around you also get ND32 and a just CPL. How this works is you're going to take your base plate, then add in your base glass, which in this case is a mist, which you also just have the regular non-mist version. And if to line these up, you just take the Freewell logos and line them up inside the base plate, and they snap in accordingly. Then you take your desired filter, you align it with the two A's. The base plate has an A and the filter has an A, and you just align them together to make your stop. Now you want to make sure that you align those properly, because that will dictate the hard stops on your variable ND.
Alrighty, so there's obviously a lot of question when it comes to image quality when you're dealing with variable ND filters. And one of my biggest concerns with these filters was, does the fact that there's hard stops that aren't really hard stops going to affect the image quality? Are we going to see X patterns on the images? And to be honest, no, it's actually really good. Freewell did some real witchcraft here with these filters. They used magnetic to control your hard stops, and they also didn't sacrifice on the quality of glass. So the image quality looks just as good as your standard ND filters that you know and love from Freewell. I really love the fact that they were able to also include the mist filter in here as well. We tested out all the filters in the field in different various lighting situations, and I felt like the filters did really well. Now, in previous versions of ND filters from Freewell, I used to have a complaint that the filters seemed a bit too warm, but I didn't notice any sort of color cast coming off of these filters. They seemed quite neutral, skin tones looked great, there wasn't a green tint, there wasn't an orange tint to everything, so I have no complaints as far as image qualities go. Images were sharp, and then you can reduce that sharpness by using that mist filter, which also sort of blooms the light a little bit, which I think gives a little bit more of a cinematic look, despite that being really overdone.
And moving on to versatility, this is the world's first 7-in-1 magnetic filter, so you can make this however you feel. Use whatever combination works with you, and you just do this by attaching the base plate to your lens, choosing whichever variation of the filter you want, and just make sure that those A's align up appropriately so that you can make sure the stops actually work, because there still are hard stops on this magnetic system. You can also use this with your other Freewell magnetic filters just by snapping them on and removing the inner base plate glass.
So I bought a lot of filters in the past, and ND filters cost a lot of money, especially when you're talking about VND filters that have moving components. On average, an ND filter costs about $230. And there's always a compromise you have to make when you're purchasing ND filters. Do I buy the 2 to 5? Do I buy the 6 to 9? And in the end result, you're gonna end up spending about $500 on ND filters. And that's only for two types of filters. That doesn't even include your mist filters. This whole 7-in-1 combination costs right now for the early bird special $300, which is sort of crazy when you think about the price. You're gonna spend almost $800 if you had to buy almost every combination that I'm showing you in this video. It's pretty nuts. Now, in the link in the description, there is a link for the early bird special, which if you're interested in these, I would highly recommend you jump on it now, because after the early bird, this price goes back up to $400. which in actuality, $400 is still a lot less for 7 different filters in one than you would pay separately for all the different combinations in which we're showing you today. It's pretty incredible that they were able to cram so much quality in such a small price. All right, so that's gonna do it for this video. But before we go, I do wanna go ahead and leave you with some closing thoughts. Now, because this is such a unique concept, there are some drawbacks that I still have questions on. Because these are magnets and you are a run and gun shooter, sometimes I have had some situations where the magnets weren't totally locked. Now, I don't know if that was my fault or a fault of the design, but I have had situations where the filter has actually fell off the camera lens, which sort of made me nervous, but the glass has never broken and I've dropped these on concrete, so that's always a good thing. And they never bent, but it is something worth noting. The other thing, if you accidentally, again, misalign those A's, you can get a polarized pattern or a X pattern in your images. Again, it's really important to make sure you are aligning these appropriately, because if you are not, well, then you could potentially screw your footage up. But beyond that, I like these. I like the fact that I could just put one box of filters in my bag and I'm good to go for the day. Now, Paul may have different thoughts than I have on this, but I'll let him explain his thoughts on these filters.
Well, thank you, Dobo. That was very nice of you. A nice introduction there. But yeah, I think these filters are a great option for the run and gun filmmaker that just wants to throw one thing in their bag and keep going. I personally was a little hesitant as well, because a few times we were shooting with Ken, the magnets did seem to fall off. I had the same viewpoint on that. However, I do really enjoy this as a person that really needed a nice selection of variable NDs. This is a great way to get your package started, and it's a lot cheaper than the other alternatives that you could do. So I actually really did like this for that in and of itself, and I never really noticed any discoloration. And coming from my cheaper, like $20 ND filter that had a lot of green casts, there was no green cast on this, and I thought it was a great addition to the package. So very good job.
All right, so links will be in the description below if you want to go ahead and check these filters out. Again, there's that early bird special for $300. Price goes up to $400 after that point. I know I'm going to be keeping these in my bag, and I know Paul's going to be keeping a set in his bag, because for people that travel a lot, I think having less equipment but being able to have all of your full range of options are really important. All right, that's going to do it. That's going to do it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. Stay original. Slide the lens right across. I just slid it right across. I'm going to go now.